All right, this is the host of the show with no name, and I am here with Jeff.
Hello.
And pretty eventful occasion for me. I just watched the first 5 episodes of Fairy Tail, the anime, in English dub because I'm me. And since Jeff is the biggest Fairy Tail fan I know, he watched them with me. He's only ever seen it in sub. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be me providing my first impressions of the show and the characters, and him talking about the English dub. Now let's start out with, I think, at least at this part, is the main character, Lucy, who is in English, voiced by Jeremy Lee. I think that there were a lot of moments. That's not all it. It really isn't. But in the moments when Lucy is yelling at people and or she gets really flustered, it is so unbelievably like Nami from One Piece. It is hilarious. I think that Lucy definitely has a lot of potential. I really do feel like there's a lot about her we don't know yet. And I think Lucy's going to be awesome. What do you think about Lucy's voice in English? Jeremy Lee.
It fits her. It's just a normal, average girl voice because she's supposed to stand out as the most normal out of all of the people around her. So just to have a normal voice is a good thing. Yeah. And I thought it fit.
Jeremy Lee does a lot of young girls, but she can make her voice go up so weird that she almost sounds like inhuman when she does some of the stuff, like the stuff she did in Chic, or to a lesser extent something like Bamboo Blade or Darker Than Black. But in this one, you could tell this is clearly her normal speaking voice, and we don't hear that too much from Jeremy Lee. But I also discovered that Jeremy Lee does sound a lot like Lucy Christian sometimes, especially when she's yelling. Alright, next up is Natsu, in English, played by Todd Haberkorn. I like Natsu. I think he's not as whimsical and childlike as I've been led to believe he would be. Like, he doesn't seem as, like, the enthusiasm is not as much as I thought it was going to be.
That's entirely due to the fact that it's Todd Haberkorn voicing him. In Japanese, he has a very, I wouldn't use the word whimsical, but there's a quality in his voice that's very, very distinctive. And that allows you to see him as a much more childish, happy-go-lucky kind of guy. And Todd's voice is just too normal sounding. It doesn't fit the character.
Todd Haberkorn does not have a normal, everyday voice.
It doesn't fit to what they need out of Natsu. Natsu requires a much more odd voice.
I think that for what it was, Natsu seemed like Todd Haberkorn. It didn't strike with the personality. It's not like Todd Haberkorn has done similar characters to this and stuff like Tower of Juaga, Claymore, D. Gray Man. I think that it was okay. That was one that we were talking about. That he wasn't exactly excited about. I think that Natsu is going to... Again, I feel like there's a lot more to Natsu than we originally see. Next up is Happy, who is so cute. Happy is so adorable.
I told you you'd like the cats. The cats are the best.
And Tia Ballard, who I actually really love. She is one of the most adorable voices ever. Just a little twinge of a southern accent, while she's just I really like it. You think that's a really fitting voice for...
It fits.
Yeah.
It's maybe a little more feminine in English, but it's not...
There's no part of me that's oh, Natsu's definitely... Sorry, Happy's definitely a boy. No.
It's whatever. It doesn't exactly matter. But if you want to draw comparisons between the two. I have nothing really much to say about that.
The relations... It's weird, right off the bat, you already have, these two people, not Happy and... Natsu, they're already such good friends, and they already talk like and think alike, and do their own little bits of comedy. And next up is Gray Fullbuster, played in English by Newton Pittman. The stripping is weird. It's
that goes away a little bit. Watching this, since I haven't seen the first episodes in so long, a lot of the animation quality has improved so much since they've started the show. And they also, there's a lot of extra animation in the attacks. When Natsu is attacking, they'll do a little cutscene sequence, and they stopped using magic. They were using magic circles, like the magic circle animation type thing, and the switching between scenes, what they use. Like the show has changed a lot, and it's happened so gradually you don't even really notice. But going back and looking at the very beginning, it's a very, very, very big difference.
Okay, what do you think about Noon Pittman as Grateful Buster?
It just didn't sound right. I don't know, if it sounded too, like, high school cool kid kind of thing.
Like, when it's, like, I think when he said his first line, I think I heard him go, like, that's Gray?
It just, I don't know, Gray is a little more reserved, I think.
Here's the thing, though. Like, the one thing I really know him well is as Vi from Phantom Requiem for the Phantom, and he did kind of play like a cool down. I think that like when like he described Newton Pittman's Gray's personality to me, that's like that kind of sounds like a Newton Pittman character, even though I really haven't seen him in that many things. But his performance in Requiem for the Phantom was very powerful, and I liked it a lot. It's like this one is a lot deeper than what he did then. But it's the same sort of thing. It's sort of like, it's deep, but it's also young sounding, his voice. The stripping is just weird. It's just like, he's not even aware of it. And it's like, it never happens on screen. It's just like, oh my gosh, where did your pants go? And then like one of the first things he does says to Lucy, like, hi, can I borrow your underwear? And then lastly, we have Colleen Clinkenbeard as Erza Scarlet. That is Riza Hawkeye. That is such Riza Hawkeye. And Colleen Clinkenbeard has one of the biggest ranges of any of the voice actors at Funimation. She has played a lot of very young, almost dorky characters. She's played very, very tough characters with something like Luffy. She's gone for the sexy stuff and the stuff in Phantom Requiem for the Phantom. She's done the really tough things for women with Riza Hawkeye, and this is definitely the Riza Hawkeye side of her. She's kind of like a really tough mom almost. Like she like sees herself as like, I'm the one taking care of all of you guys, and she definitely seems to expect a lot from herself. Like she holds herself up to a very high standard, and everyone was building her up so much. Like, oh my gosh, she's so scary. And I'm like, really? It's just like this thing, like what they're doing is like, what do they need to get? Maybe like, I don't know, Stephanie Young or something, like someone who could really just be scary and like authoritative when they want to, but Colleen Clinkenbeard can definitely do that. What was your opinion on Colleen Clinkenbeard as Erza Scarlet?
Her voice was deeper in Japanese, and it...
What?
Yeah.
Really? I cannot think of very many deep female voices in Japanese.
It was like, you don't watch any subs, but like it was a deep, commanding, like maybe a woman that you'd find in like the military. Colleen Clinkenbeard sounds too average, I think.
That really is Riza Hawkeye, though.
Well, yes, but it didn't. For Riza Hawkeye, like, is different because she was just like she didn't have the magic and all of the extra things. Because when you see Erza use her powers and all of the spectacular things that she ends up doing, it kind of adds to the wonder and intimidation, and then, which is why I think that the deeper voice works. With Riza Hawkeye, she's a great marksman, absolutely.
She definitely means business. She
means business, but it's like, that one was like...
You think you could have gone deeper?
No, and also because military people were civilians once, so she doesn't have to sound any different, but Erza has always been like this. Or at least...
So you think maybe you needed less of a Riza Hawkeye and more of a General Armstrong?
Yeah, like Olivia Armstrong.
Like Stephanie Young?
I guess. I don't know any names. But yeah. But, I mean, whatever.
I think... So far, out of the main characters you see, do you think that this is a faithful, good dub?
I don't really know how to answer that question. I'm not big on dubs, so for me to call it a faithful dub.
Do you think that just looking at what we've seen so far, do you think that the people looking at this really like took this seriously and wanted to make this dub into something special?
That I don't really think you should have that attitude about everything. I think right now the show is, at the very beginning, the show is in the stage of we don't know how far this is going to go, because a lot of anime series could go on for as long as Fairy Tail or One Piece, but you don't have the marketing data or anything to work with, so you don't have any idea how much effort
with One Piece
is really meant to be put into it, because obviously once Fairy Tail got popular and kept securing more and more airtime, the quality changed, the way that they structured the show changed, they made it a little bit more serious as time went on, and so I think the dubbing matches that a little bit. It seems right now it's in the beginning stage of development, and then as it gets darker, hopefully the dubbing will reflect that.
Was there anything that you found was weird or like off to you about the dub?
Well, I mean, not off, but you missed some of the jokes in the dub, because Cancer is a crab, but he says the word ebi at the end of every sentence in Japanese, and ebi means shrimp. So
what?
Like how in English he ended every sentence with baby, and everyone
Really?
got confused. Were you not listening?
I don't remember that.
He ends every sentence with the word baby, and everyone's thrown off by it, but it doesn't make as much sense. But in Japanese, he kept saying ebi at the end of every sentence, which means shrimp, and he's not a shrimp, he's a crab. He should be saying kani, not ebi. So that was one of the jokes that just kind of...
Well, piggybacking on what you said, when they acquired the license to One Piece, they knew that this show was going to be huge, because it had already previously been licensed by 4Kids Entertainment. But that was one of the dubs where they edited down a lot, like a lot, and people hated it. But what they did is that Funimation did, and they did the entire thing faithfully, and by that time the show had been going on for like 5 or 6 years. So they...
Oh yeah, but that you have marketing data for that.
Yeah. So they really did take that very seriously. I wonder if they did the same thing where like, was Fairy Tail a huge manga before the TV show started?
Oh, I'm sure it was. That's how... If everything starts out as mangas. Like, mangas will always come before the anime. There could be standalone animes, or there can be animes adapted from manga.
Or like light novels. Or
light novels, yeah. And so the manga was popular, still is, still running.
Yeah, okay, so for my first impressions on Fairy Tail, I keep doing this. This happens every single time. But it's just like whenever I imagine an anime, I always err on the side of imagining it being a little bit more sci-fi than it usually is. I expected Attack on Titan to take place in like space or something, or like in the future. I expected Attack on Titan to be a little bit more like God Eater. I expected Akamega Kill to be more like laser guns and space battles. I expected Fate Zero to be like that, and I didn't really expect it to be like a space opera and Fairy Tail, but I expected it to be a little bit more modern in setting. This definitely takes place in medieval times, and I expected the guilds to literally kind of be like a business. Like, you go in there, like, you register, and like, you have your own little room with their own little parts. They meet up with each other, and they discuss the things, and it was a lot different than what I expected. It's just basically like this giant pub that a bunch of wizards hang out in, and then you walk in and you say the wrong thing, and suddenly the entire pub erupts in fighting. Everybody is so weird, and I was thinking, like, the more and more I thought about it, and I'm really happy about this, the more and more I thought about it, the less and less I thought this is just going to be like One Piece. There's a lot of differences. First off, with One Piece, you always keep this one cast of characters, and they move from place to place. And there's no home base like there really isn't with One Piece. But here we got the actual guild place. All the main 4 characters get introduced immediately. I still haven't gotten to all 9 members of the Straw Hat Pirates yet. But in this one, things get started faster, and like there's like, oh, you can introduce another person to come into the crew for just this one episode, or like for this one. And things definitely seem to happen a little bit faster here than it does in One Piece. In One Piece, things take a while to happen. It really does take its time. I'd say that the world, it doesn't, like, with One Piece, like, you could tell, like, right off the bat, this world is huge. And in this one, it kind of makes me think more of, like, Legend of the Legendary Heroes. It's not an entire planet, it's just, like, this little kingdom. I'm guessing that does change over time.
Yeah, you go different places throughout it. It's not like thinking about it now. They don't go to the same place twice very often. They'll pick one spot to go for an arc, and then they'll leave, and then there's always somewhere new to go. So Fior is not small by any stretch of the imagination.
I think that right now this definitely seems like a very fun show, like right off the bat. But there was one thing that did make me laugh out loud. It was just like, I'm an ice wizard. Oh, is that why you and Natsu don't get along? You know, like fire and ice? No, I just hate his guts. Like, that made me laugh. Mm-hmm. Was it, like, you can tell, like, just from the personality types, you can get right out of the gate, you can tell that Natsu and Greg would just butt heads anyways. But it's kind of funny, and it's also really funny how scared everybody is of Erza. That's funny. I would say that if I had to say, I still like, obviously I don't automatically like this more than One Piece, but I'd say that this is a very interesting show already. I think that this is going to be a lot of fun seeing this show. And I personally think that the English dub is wonderful.
Okay.
So, anything else you want to say about what you thought about the English dub?
About the dub itself? No.
Okay.
I mean, they did good with Loki and Kana, and Mira Jane's voice was a little too childish.
But of the 5 leads, you think it's good enough?
I'll take it.
I just don't think you're much of a fan of Todd Haberkorn.
I think that there's a place for Todd Haberkorn, and they never put him in it. They put him in a different spot.
Well, what would his place be?
For a character on that show?
Or, like, in any show.
What is a good... I'd have to think about that right now. Hold up. Todd Haberkorn, where would I put him? I
feel like one of the hardest things in casting is like, you want to think, like, are you typecasting a voice actor? Or, like, are you, like, putting them in something they wouldn't be good at in the excuse for, they need to, like, expand their horizons? Like, where do you draw the line between, are you typecasting this character too much? Or are you not specializing this actor enough? And I feel like Todd is it's kind of a neutral, very young sounding voice. And I think that can be taken in many different directions. Colin Klinkenbeard has a gigantic range. Newton Pittman, I haven't seen much from him. From what I have seen, doesn't have that much range. It's kind of like, he kind of sounds the same in each one. Chairman Lee has a very big range.
You say that like they don't practice their lines, or they don't have cold reads, or they don't have, because it's not really typecasting. And if it is, then
they have auditions. What happens is that the people at the studio, they are like the aspiring voice actors. They send their auditions into Funimation, like their highlight reels, things they're good at, their resume. What they do is that they the casting directors, they watch the anime, and then what they do is that they call in the actors that they think would be like best, like the top, like the best, like, I don't know, 10 for this one character. And then they come over to the studios, and they record a few lines, and then they make the final decision then.
Well, yeah, but you were talking about the people that we already have, and you're like, well, you want to put someone where they're not very good so they can improve.
No, it was just like, I'm not talking about that. I'm thinking about, like, in general, when it comes to, like, being a casting director at Funimation. It's, like, weird when you consider, like, not only, like, there are new actors coming in all the time. Do you, like, always try to go for the more new ones? Do you try to keep the old ones? It's like, making a dub is not as easy as I originally thought. Like, the more you think about it, the more, like, wow, this... Because, obviously, there are a lot of people who are very passionate about anime on both sides of the Pacific Ocean. And I feel like, with One Piece, I might have already said this. With One Piece, they took their final castings and they sent it to Toei Animation to get some feedback. Mm-hmm. And they actually said, like, Luffy's voice needs to be scratchier and gruffer. And then, like Later Joke was like, okay. And he was like, well, how do you make it scratchy and gruffer? You just, like, shred your vocal cords. But I think that was really awesome. And then when I see the comparisons between the dub and the sub of One Piece, I'm thinking, like, wow, that's actually kind of spot on. Like, this is kind of like the American version of this one voice type that was in Japanese.
Yeah, and I feel like they didn't do that with this, though. Because Natsu's voice, I think, is it's too distinctive, and that you need to find a really distinctive voice that matches it.
Well, who do you think would have been better for it?
I don't know people's names. Like, it's one of those things, it's like, you recognize the voice immediately.
Do you think that there is an English voice actor who could have perfectly captured?
Oh, I'm sure there is.
That we know.
I mean, I'm sure there is. Nothing's impossible under the sun. I don't think it's Todd Haberkorn.
Okay, out of the ones you've seen, out of the 5, who do you think was the best casted?
Happy.
And
no, Lucy.
Okay, Lucy, then Happy, then Erza,
then Gray, then Natsu.
Then Natsu.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the weird smiley face that Natsu made. So he did he sound a lot younger in Japanese, Natsu?
No, he sounded. It's not the age he sounded. There's the fact that he had. It's hard to describe. He had a Natsu voice, and it had this really weird kind of clownish quality, or like it had this sound to it, this cadence that was very distinctive, very kind of irritating in too big of doses, but it grows on you. And then I don't know. But also, I don't think I like dubs because it makes me feel like I'm watching a children's show.
Fairy Tail is a shonen manga.
Well, I know, but it's like it feels like it's aimed at younger audiences in English, and I don't know why I feel like that, but I think that's what I get out of it.
One thing I learned today is that Tia Ballard is really adorable, and so is Happy. Like, you did a little dance in the middle, like hold the pause, like yeah, like that was Happy's so cute. How long until we meet Wendy and Charles?
Carla, Charles, episodes upon episodes. It's a long time.
Yeah. So you're saying that you do want to check out One Piece eventually?
Oh yeah, maybe I'll start it next
summer.
Yeah, in the summer. Depends on what I'm doing.
Yeah, this is a Fairy Tail. I got a long way to go, but I'm happy to be finally done with The Gray Man and Monster. I didn't dislike watching them, but I feel like something like Fairy Tail or One Piece, they're kind of in a different league. Because these are some of the most well-known, best-selling anime and manga ever written. So, final thoughts?
I'm gonna stick with the sub.
There were a lot of fire puns.
Yes. There were puns. Lots of them.
Lots of puns.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.